I'd like to call this meeting of Public Schools of Robertson County Board of Education to order, June 25th, 2024. And we'll start with a moment of silence. I know that one of our students passed. Was it Union Elementary? So if you will, just take a moment of silence. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. At this time, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Brewer and a second by Mr. Vontae Leach to adopt the agenda for tonight. All those in favor say aye. Let me stop just a minute. I have Ms. Ocean and Mr. Gentry, and I think they're saying aye also. So now I've got a consensus of the board. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Action items. CTEC, Planetarium Science Center bid package. Mr. Bobby Locklear. Did I?
Good evening, Chairman Lawson, Superintendent Williamson, board members. At our last Construction Finance Committee, we presented the GMP number 2 for our new Career and Technical Education and Science Center. So we are at, bids were opened on April the 18th. We had to do a rebid for April the 25th. And as you are all aware, we have those bids were held for 90 days. So we're at the end of that 90-day window. So what I've placed at your desk tonight is, after our last meeting, we had further conversation with our architect and our construction company, and we've adjusted the GMP to account for our total budget. The one that we presented during our Construction Finance Committee meeting left some dollars on the table, so we went back and added all of those dollars into our owner contingency. So what we are asking for approval tonight is GMP 2 at the total of $72,599,699.
And Mr. Bobby, this was also brought at the construction finance meeting, correct? Okay. Mr. Craig?
Yeah.
And
I
then
make a motion that we accept the bid of total cost of $72,599,699 for the CTE building.
I've got a motion by Mr. Craig Lowry and a second by Mr. Vontae Leach. Is there any discussion? Mr. Terry Locklear?
I was just gonna ask a question. Did we accept all of the lowest bids on everything?
Currently, the bid packages you see in front of you are the lowest bids. The only package that there would be some question on at this point in time is our electrical. We did have 3 bids. At the rebid, there was a difference of right at $1.5 million to possibly $1.7 million difference between the lowest bid and the highest bid, the second bid. So what Metcon is working through now is working through all the bond and insurance to ensure that that low bid will stand. So what you have in front of you is the second lowest bid. So once all of that is approved, we will work through the electrical bid as a change order.
So you're saying that once they go through the process of insurance and bonding, we'll go with the lowest one?
Yes. If the bond and insurance holds up for the lowest bid, yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Other than that one particular package, every price you see is the lowest bid.
again, I have a motion by Mr. Craig Lowry. I have a second by Mr. Vontae Leach. All those in favor on the bid package for the CTE Planetarium Science Center, say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
And that's 10-0 with Ms. Monroe absent, correct?
Yes. Okay, that's fine. Next, the FEMA settlement. I've got Mr. Richard Schwartz, Mr. Hugh McElwain, Danielle Emmons, and Wendy Ellard.
Yes, Ms. Wendy's not here virtually, just Ms. Danielle Amon with
Okay.
Baker Donaldson Law Firm. So Ms. Danielle sent out an email, and I'm basically just going to read what the email states from our Finance Construction Committee meeting. So FEMA issued a determination memo on June 14th, approving 24.9 million and denying 12.8 million. Related to the 16 buildings damaged in 2016 by Hurricane Matthew. The school board has until August 9th, 2024 to appeal, or the decision becomes a final agency decision. At the Finance Construction Committee meeting last week, the recommendation was for the school board not to file an appeal and to accept the 24.9 million that FEMA has offered. And the school board will meet with FEMA to discuss several costs that were not approved or denied in the determination memo, and which may increase this 24 million. And those are demolition cost, administrative grant management cost, contents value, and the architecture fees that we spent prior to arbitration with FEMA. So asking the school board either to accept or deny that we move forward in accepting the 24.9. And we will be meeting with FEMA tomorrow at 10 o'clock to discuss the additional stuff that was left out of the determination memo.
Mr. Richard?
Danielle, do you want the board to defer action on this until you deal with the negotiations a little bit more?
I will leave that to y'all to decide on exactly what you want to take. I will say that I am not going to tell FEMA. We don't have to formally tell FEMA anything up until August 9th. And so I think at this point, the conversation is largely going to be based around getting FEMA to discuss these additional cost items. But the decision doesn't go formally to FEMA for a while. I don't know how many board meetings you have. I mean, I think that the subcommittee is locked in on the recommendation not to appeal, which was my recommendation just because of the cost benefit ratio. But I don't think that there's going to be anything formally told to FEMA for a while we discuss these additional items. If that helps answer your question.
Danielle, we're in open session now.
Okay.
Okay. In a public recorded meeting.
Understood.
Okay.
May I mention that as we discussed, as far as demolition, that could go either way. Worst case, they're going to say you had to take it from the 20.9 million. Best case, they will fund it separately. Contents the same way. Worst case, they're going to say you had to take it out of the 24.9. Worst case, they will compensate us for it. And as far as the architecture fee for what we paid back when hurricane damages really happened, they're just going to say yay or nay.
Okay. Mr. Hughes asking for a motion from the board.
Hold. Danielle, the board can defer action on this if that would help you in the negotiation process.
I don't know if it actually would or not. Like I said, I mean, FEMA's not asking for a decision quite yet. But as far as administratively, what the board wants to go ahead and vote on, we're not asking for anything in writing at this point. And even if the board does go ahead and make this formal vote, it actually will not change our right to appeal in FEMA's eyes, right? So nothing can change that or lock that in with FEMA until and unless we put something in writing to FEMA by that August 9th date. So even if the board goes ahead and votes, FEMA knows that the board would still have the right to change their mind and go ahead and file an appeal up until August 9th.
Dr. Williams?
She answered my question. Danielle answered the
Okay.
question. Because the last time we raised that point, if we could take action on and settle this part of it, if it would have a negative impact, but if we appeal, it would reset and we would lose time.
Right.
But Danielle just answered my question.
What was brought from the construction and finance, Mr. Vontae? I got you.
From the construction and finance joint meeting, and they're saying that we bring to the board that we accept the 24.9 million.
Okay.
And then, accept 24.9 million, then see if we can get some more for the demolition, the architect and some of the other things that were destroyed. The contents, some other contents that were destroyed that didn't give us the money for, but
So, Mr. Hughes, what's that total amount again? Because I know, I'm thinking that, Ms. Danielle said 20.9 and Mr. Vontae saying 20.
it's 24.9.
24.9.
24.9.
And the full figure is $24,910,228.00.
Okay. Mr. Terry Locklear?
I make a motion that the full board votes to defer this decision until we get the final word from, defer the action until we get the final word from FEMA.
Mr. Hughes?
Just so you know, they may not say anything, and then at that point, at the 60 days, we got to say whether we want to appeal or deny, accept or deny.
So what would the correct wording for that be, Mr. Schwartz?
If you're trying to defer action, I think Danielle is saying that it doesn't matter to
It
her,
doesn't matter.
basically. But if you're trying to defer action, what you've got on the floor now is a recommendation from the committee. That's a motion, does not require a second. What you're proposing now, Mr. Locklear, is a substitute motion to defer action, and that does require a second.
I'll rescind that motion and go with the recommendation of the committee.
Mr. Craig?
Mr. Randall, let me make sure to everybody that I understand this. We talked at the meeting to go ahead and apply for the 24 million and not worry about, I'm gonna say the 12 million, which was, we were talking about with appealing.
Right, and
Okay.
this additional demolition and all that
Okay,
is
yeah.
not part of the 12.
That's what I want to get into. The demolition and the content part has nothing to do with us accepting this 24 million. Is that correct? That's correct. It has nothing to do with us accepting this. Ms. Danielle, I'm asking that too, if you can answer that. If we accept this, we're going to take the 24 million, and if we get this other, fine. But the decision tonight won't have nothing to do with that. I don't want us to get confused about that 12 million. And we said, hey, we're not worrying about an appeal on that.
Absolutely correct. So the 12 million does not include those 4 additional items whatsoever. We are strategically trying to use this 60-day period to talk about other costs we think FEMA needs to address. But you're right that the appeal, the formal appeal itself, does not have anything to do with these additional line items we're asking FEMA to add to the 24.9 million.
Okay. So we can accept this and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You want to bring the motion?
I make a motion that we accept the FEMA settlement of 24.9 million.
I've got a motion by Mr. Vontae Leach and a second by Mr. Henry Brewer to accept the FEMA settlement for $24,900,000.
$24,910,228.
What Mr. Hughes said.
If I may, restate that a little bit, I think what came out of the committee, were you trying to make a separate motion or were you trying to state the committee's motion?
They what came out of the committee.
Okay, so what came out of the committee, as I understand it, was from the Construction and Finance Committee, was to accept the $24,910,228 approved by FEMA, to not file an appeal at this time, and to continue to negotiate other costs, including demolition, administrative grant, management costs, and others.
Yes.
Is that your understanding, Danielle?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, is that the
Yes, that's
recommendation from
understanding.
the
Yes,
committee?
that's the recommendation.
Just wanted
Yes.
to restate that if I could. Thank you.
Thank you.
The motion's been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. And I'm pretty sure that was 10.
Yep. Past 10-0, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
And after, Mr. Craig, I just wanted to say, we've been on here for me 12 and you working on 12, but you were here when this happened. I'm just glad to see that part settled after 8 years. Legal retainer contract, Dr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and board members, you do have at your site the proposed retainer contract for Swartz Law. We did review that in the Finance and Construction meeting. My recommendation is that we would approve the retainer, please.
Sorry, I got you, Mr.
A 4-year retainer. Yes.
Right.
That was a recommendation from the committee.
Right.
Hang
Like to
on
make a
one
motion?
second, Mr. John, Mr. Terry. Go ahead, Mr. John. Go ahead and make your motion.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract after negotiating with Mr. Richard to make his contract a 4-year deal to run concurrent with the superintendent's contract.
Second.
I need to. It won't let me add nobody else. I've got a motion by Mr. John Simmons and a second by Mr. Henry Brewer on the legal retainer contract for Mr. Schwartz to run concurrent with Dr. Williamson's contract as our board attorney. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Terry?
I just wanted to make a comment that that the state actually set some precedent for these sorts of contracts during a period when there's been an election and we've got new board members coming on. And like I said, I'm voting along with it. I'm for it, but I just wish we would have given the new members an opportunity to take a look at this, because we're locking new members into a 4-year contract just a couple of weeks before they take the oath. And I just wanted to put that out there for us to, be thinking about next time these sorts of negotiations come up. Thank you.
Mr. Vontae, hang on, nothing. All right. Next is budget amendments 2023, 2024. Ms. Erica Setzer.
Good evening, Mr. Lawson, Dr. Williamson, and board members. I place at your desk state, local, and enterprise funds budget amendments that have come up since the last time we met. And I'm sure there may be some more in July for this year as we finish our closeouts. And I can answer any questions anybody has about those at this time. These are just to ensure we stay in line with our budget resolution.
Mr. Simmons,
So these are the only changes that came up.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve.
I've got a motion by Mr. John Simmons and a second by Mr. Craig Lowry to approve the budget amendments 2023, 2024 that Ms. Erica Setzer has presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Dr. Emmanuel? Hit your button, darling. I'm trying to get you there.
This question has something to do with finance, but it has nothing to do with our finance right now. Do we know, and the lawyer might help and Erica might help, do we know how the charter school fund is going to negatively affect us next year? Do we know anything, superintendent, anybody?
The charter school or the opportunity scholarships to the voucher program?
One and two both.
Okay. I'm not aware of any changes to the charter at this point. Now, anything can change as the legislation moves through, but the opportunity scholarships, we don't know exactly how to impact our county yet, but both sides have agreed that they want to put at least 500 million, maybe more, into that program, so there's no other people on a wait list. But we don't have any information yet until that passes to know children in Robeson County that will be going to private schools if they are funded. We don't have that data yet.
Well, we do, and I share that in an email. Help me to remember the date, but over the next 2 years, Bobby, I think projection is $2 million. It will have a negative impact
I
of
missed that.
$2 million.
Okay.
Sir,
Mr.
Yes.
Henry Brewer?
I'm sorry, Rick.
That's fine.
On contracted subs, I'm showing well, it's showing a negative 2.6 mil.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain where that's coming from or what the anticipation is on fulfilling that agreement?
Yes, sir. So we were able to use our ESSER funding to pay for most of our subs, $4.5 million of our total $6.5 million bill. So that is just taking the budget from state funds because now it's budgeted in federal dollars. We're using ESSER for it. We still got the cost. That doesn't mean that we don't have those expenses. They're just in a different budget now.
Okay. Mr. Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Trey, you good? Closed session?
Thank you.
I move that the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robeson County go into closed session for the purposes of discussing certified and classified personnel, North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6, and to consult with attorney retained by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robeson County, North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 3, and to consider student matters that are considered with North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 115C-402 and 20 U.S. Code 1232G.
I need a second. Mr. Trey's made the motion to go into closed session. Mr. Henry Brewer's made the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We stand in closed session.
closed session.
Mr. Trey? I've got a motion by Mr. Vontae Leach to come out of closed session. I've got a second by Mr. Trey Britt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. Approval of personnel report. I need. Yeah. Make the motion.
Motion to accept personnel as presented.
I've got a motion by Mr. Vontae to accept approval of personnel as presented.
Second.
I got a second by Mr. John, Mr. Gentry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I've got a motion by Mr. Gentry to adjourn. I've got a second by Mr. Craig Lowry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We stand in adjournment.